So I made a mistake on the signal serialization. So some strings ago, I created a class for serializing signals. So basically saving the signals on the file. Because when you create scenes from C++, you it looked like the signal wasn't cached on the scene file. So I wasn't able to open or to maintain the signal on the editor or on the engine. But now I realize that there is a way, the way that the design is supposed to work to allow you to serialize signals. And I don't know, I'm not really sure how I didn't see this before. But yeah, it's basically a flag that you have to pass, and then when you pass the flag, it does cache the signal, regardless of whether of where you create the signal. So you can create the signal from outside of a nodes constructor, and it's still gonna cache. And because I thought it wasn't possible to cache, I spent this whole bunch of time creating this class just for the purpose of serializing the signals. So I'm just gonna show the way there, and shout out to this person here because he's the one that pointed me to this solution. Just basically use a flag that they provide. So I'm gonna show the flag, and then I'm going to also talk about a little bit the class that I created, and then explain the differences. And I'm glad that I went back to this, to trying to find a different approach to solve this instead of using the class, because I tried to also change the object class and then put other properties on the object class. So I was able to serialize, but it wasn't working, so I was gonna try another approach. But now, after following this approach here, I've seen that it works. So I'm just gonna wait to see if it's streaming. And then I'm gonna show. Okay, so the way is basically just, so here I have, I'm not gonna explain everything, but basically I'm creating things from C++, and then this is basically the function that creates, which I'm using just to test this signal thing. So it calls this function here from this other function, and then later on it's gonna call another function to save this node here into a scene file. So basically it's just creating the tree from the scene here. I'm just creating a basic control node to be the root, and then I create these two nodes here, and then I'm connecting the signal from the bottom to the physics slider. And all you have to do is just basically pass this flag here. I haven't tested yet to see if it's possible to pass more than one flag, but I'm pretty sure you can. And all I have to do is you just put the R flag, the R operator, and then put the other flag you want, and then it's gonna work. But I haven't tested yet, but I'm pretty sure it will work. So if you pass this flag here, then the signal is gonna be written to the scene file. So I'm gonna open the editor, and I'm gonna open the directory of the project. I think it's gonna work because I tested, but never know. But this basically the scene file now. It just has one node. So the downside on the way that I did things is that I'm only updating the properties. So if I change the signals from C++ as it is now, it's not gonna update in the way that I have there because I'm only updating the properties of the class. So I'm gonna have to think about whether or not it's worth it to change the code. So every time that I change the signal, it also changes what's cached on the scene file. But basically after running this, it builds the scene from C++, and now I have this. And then you can see here that you have the connection. But if you don't put the flag, then it's not gonna have the connection. So I'm just gonna open Godot, and then I'm going to show that it works there. And that's basically the project that I'm creating there from the C++ code. I'm gonna close this. This is basically the responses here. So I was thinking about a way to implement this, and So yeah, first I thought it was wrong because of the thing that I said, where I already had the scene and it wasn't updating the signal, so I thought it wasn't caching, but it's just because of the code that I have there. It looks like it saves the signal in a different way than that it saves the properties. So this is basically the button, doesn't have anything, and this is the ladder that connects the signal, which is supposed to change the value to 10. So when you click here, it does go to 10, so it means that it is serialized. So now I'm gonna delete this, and I'm going to remove the flag and then create again, and then it's not gonna be. Let me close this. And it looks like I'm probably gonna I might spend some time because I have so many other stuff to study. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna spend time studying this. But basically, this is I think one of the functions that on the serialization function, the function that was responsible for saving the scene, for saving the node into the scene file. They're probably gonna call this other function here, and then it does. This is the function that is gonna check for the flag, I think, and then it's gonna write to the file if it has the flag, or if it doesn't, it's just gonna skip. But I still don't understand how it works, the logic to serialize. So I might spend some time trying to study this, but probably not, because I have all the other stuff to solve. So compiled, and I'm running again to build the scene. Yeah, so looks like it worked. So now you can see that there is no signal there connection. So when I open the thing from the editor, it's not gonna work because even though it's creating the signal from C++, it doesn't cache the signal on the scene file. That was the whole problem. So this is very good because then it allows me to not use the other class, which is very annoying. And this is the whole reason why I decided to go back and see if there was another way. And I was thinking about creating a flag, an extra flag as well, to put the signal. But I was also thinking about creating a function abstract, making the connect function abstract, and then redefining it on the node class. Because apparently, like when I created the properties on the object class, it didn't save them on the scene for whatever reason. So it was, and I also was getting other mistakes. So I was probably gonna have to figure out a different way. Yeah. So now when I click, nothing happens because there's no signal. So I'm just gonna talk about a little bit the signal serializer. So there's two different approaches to serialize. The way that they serialize the signals, I still don't understand very well. But a node is definitely different than the other way. So the main way to serialize in the easiest way is to just put properties on a class and then register them with the macro add property on the bind methods functions, because the bind methods function is the function that is responsible to allow you to register the class on this class DB class. And this one is the one that is responsible for managing the bridge between both the script and C++ code, and also the caching system. So it's the main manager of all the types, and the object DB is the main manager of the actual memory of the objects. So different classes are the main ones that are responsible for managing the memory and the types in Godot. And if you, every time that you create a new class, you basically inherit from a type that already exists on Godot. If you want to change the functionality, for example, let's say you want to change the functionality from Mesh Instance 3D, you would create a new class and then inherit from Mesh Instance 3D, and then you can create different methods and different things, and you can put different functionality on the identification function, which is the function that runs in the same way that the script GDScript runs. The ready function in GDScript would be the equivalent of calling logic here, and the other events are also available on the notification. So that's basically how you change the functionality. And in order to, for Godot and the editor and the engine to know about the class and to be able to save the class properly, you need to register the functions using this bind method function here. So you register the functions, and then to register the properties of the class, you put them with the add property here. And then you have to create a function that is a setter and a getter, and then you pass the name of the property for this macro. And that's how Godot's gonna be able to know how to update the property from the editor. And if you do this, then every time you change the state of a class, if you call this the function to save the scene, then Godot's gonna cache that information. It's gonna serialize the information of the class on the scene file, and you're gonna be able to update the state or maintain the state, even though you're not doing it directly on runtime. Let's say, like you change the state runtime, then you can retrieve the same state on another time from the editor. And that's basically the function that I'm using. You just call the package scene to save you change the root of the scene, and then you save using the package scene. And then you call restore saver, and that's the function that serializes. And then for the signal serialization, obviously, like I said, I'm not really sure how it works, so I might spend some time figuring this out, or move on to the other stuff, which is now I have to figure out how to implement the dragging. And also I realized that I'm probably gonna have to change the graph node 3D, because in order to implement dragging, is probably the way to do is by implementing a rigid body 3D, because the rigid body is supposed to be for physics, and mesh instance is supposed to be for more rendering or like background stuff that is not related to the actual interaction of the. It's not a part of the simulation of the physics engine. And there's an article about this from, I think, one of the guys that created Godot. That is very good. So it's basically one chain of classes is for rendering stuff, and the other one is for like physics. And if you want to have both of them, you need to create another class, and then you do the composition at the higher level, which is different than Unity, because Unity, the base class, is already designed in a way that is more composed. But based on the way that he explains on the article, it seems that it's roughly the same thing. You're just trading where the complexity is. But I'm probably gonna have to change this class and then try to implement the ray tracer on the nodes after I make it a rigid body. But I'm going to stop streaming now, so that this is on a small stream. Just wanted to explain that I made this mistake, and the signal serializer class is not necessary. I was using these dictionaries here to change the state, and then recreating the signals on the ready parts of the notification cycle, all at once in this function here by getting the node names. So I was able to cache based on the properties of the signal serializer class. But using the flags obviously a lot easier, so I'm probably not gonna use this class anymore. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna stream today more, but yeah, if I don't, I'm probably gonna stream soon, and I'm just gonna continue to follow the steps here to build this stuff. So see you next time.